I was turning left in here. I live right over there on Wild Canyon Way.
Okay.
I saw what I thought was a car with one headlight out.
Okay.
Right just past where the reflective sign is, that white one.
Okay, sure.
And so I was already slowing in the turn lane and saw him there, and I was like, I got enough time.
Okay.
I turned, and as soon as I turned, just felt the boom.
Okay.
She walked into a courtroom the way she'd walked into hundreds of traffic stops, calm, composed, and in control. But this time, the woman standing before the judge wasn't there to enforce the law. She was there to answer for breaking it. Sarah Klassen, 14-year veteran of the Washington State Patrol, a public information officer whose literal job was standing in front of cameras and telling the public how to stay safe on the road. On this morning, September 24, 2025, she stood in Benton County Superior Court and pleaded not guilty to vehicular homicide. 6 months earlier, she had killed a 20-year-old motorcyclist while driving drunk. Her blood alcohol was more than twice the legal limit, and there is body cam footage from that night, footage that shows her laughing at the scene, bragging about her workday, while the young man she hit lay dying at a hospital less than a mile away.
They were doing like CPR and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know how.
Dude, I didn't even know it was you. Are you alright?
I didn't even realize that either at first.
No.
I thought you just stopped.
I know I was walking up and I'm like, it looks like...
No.
I would have been a little more like,
No.
are you okay?
No.
I just like
No,
saw
you're
you
good,
and I was like, oh, she must have been driving home.
We were in
and
order
stuff.
pizza, and I was like,
But to understand how a state trooper became the very thing she spent her career warning the public about, you have to go back to the beginning. About a year before the crash, Sarah Klassen sat across from a reporter and did what she'd done dozens of times. She warned the public about dangerous driving. She listed the causes of rising crashes in eastern Washington: speed, following too closely, distracted driving, and, her words, of course being impaired. She told viewers to stay alert. She said keeping yourself and the people around you safe should be the most important thing you're doing. She said she knew how easy it was to get distracted behind the wheel. That interview aired on NBC right now. It was routine, forgettable even, the kind of local news segment no one remembers until the person giving the advice becomes the cautionary tale. Klassen was hired by the Washington State Patrol in November 2010. She submitted her application on her 21st birthday. By 2019, she'd transferred to the Kennewick office and become the public information officer for the region between Yakima and Walla Walla. She earned over $133,000 a year. She married a retired WSP sergeant. She had a golden retriever named Riley and a passport full of stamps. A 2018 profile in the Yakima Herald asked her to name her 5 favorite things. She listed iced coffee, tacos, and her wedding photo. But there was another side to Sarah Klassen's routine, one that played out several times a week at a place called the Moon Palace. The Moon Palace sat at 228 Simon Street in Richland. From the outside, it looked abandoned, a closed Chinese restaurant with a locked front door. But if you went around the side, there was another entrance. Inside, a dimly lit bar, roughly 10 customers on any given afternoon, stiff drinks, and a cash-only policy. A neighboring business owner described the pours as very heavy-handed. Officer Steve Hyde, who would later arrest Klassen, said he had presumed that it was an abandoned building that used to function as a Chinese restaurant. He didn't know it was operating as a bar until the investigation brought him through its doors.
So we're just investigating a collision that happened on Saturday. Do you recognize these two people? We think they may have been here.
They've been in here a long time ago.
A long time ago?
Yeah.
Okay, were you working on Saturday?
I was not working on Saturday.
Okay, who was working on Saturday?
One of the girls.
Okay, who was the other girls that were working on Saturday?
There's just a couple other employees.
Okay.
So.
What are the names?
I don't really want to answer anything because I don't know what it's going to turn into. So.
All right, so that's kind of what I figured. So I did apply for and was granted a search warrant for this location.
Okay.
That's why we didn't go over this yesterday. We were hoping to do this with your cooperation, but we can do this either way. So
do I need an attorney then, or?
You can get an attorney. Right now we have a search warrant. Here you go. We are going to We're going to search and seize the location for receipts, financial documents, badger ledger entries, or any similar documentations. I will leave you with a copy of this warrant.
Can you let me ask my attorney first? Would that be okay?
No.
You don't have the choice, sir.
So what we're going to need you to do, unfortunately, everyone's going to have to leave.
The Claessens, Sarah and her husband Trent, were regulars. Police later seized 42 handwritten bar tabs from December through February with their names on them. The math tells the story. At least 5 visits in December, 20 tabs across 18 days in January, 17 tabs across 15 days in February. They were there 3 to 5 times a week.
Okay, so in doing the search for these receipts, you're able to figure out which ones pertain to Sarah?
Yes, correct. We on the bottom of the receipts, sometimes they will say Sarah, but most of the times they will say Trent and Sarah, indicating that they were here together.
Okay, and so the idea of expanding it for the date range is just to establish that this particular occasion on March was consistent with prior times they were there, so the receipt is consistent, and there may be other reasons why. I was just asking.
Yeah, I mean, we just suspect that the owners likely got rid of the documentation on the 1st of March after hearing, what had happened with this incident, kind of giving its high-profile nature, and probably wanted to absolve themselves from any responsibility. The employee here, the owner's son, said that they are friends with Sarah, with the suspect, and also yes, he also reached out to who I believe was Scott Johnson, who's also currently defending Sarah Claessen with her.
Right.
On March 1st, 2025, surveillance cameras captured Sarah arriving at the Moon Palace just after 3 p.m. She would not leave for more than 4 hours. While Sarah Claessen drank, a 20-year-old named Joser Emmanuel Vega Sanchez was finishing a shift at Lamb Weston, where he worked as a tote dump operator. He came home around 4 p.m. The weather was nice. He asked his parents if he could take his motorcycle out. Joser had recently bought a 2002 Suzuki TL 1000. He'd only ridden it 3 or 4 times. He was excited about it. Yeah, his mother said he dreamed of riding with a group of motorcyclists one day. He was a recent graduate of Pasco High School. His friend Ricardo Loaiza described him as someone who was very outgoing and social, always willing to start a conversation even if it was the first time he met you. He loved working out. He worked extra shifts. He dreamed of owning a house and becoming a mechanic. His mother, Yolimar Sanchez, would later tell a reporter, "When you see Joser, you feel amazing, like the sun is shining on you. That was Joser, the sunshine of our family." He lived roughly half a mile from the Claessen residence. They didn't know each other. He had 0 alcohol or intoxicants in his system. He told his stepfather Ruben he was going to ride around the Horn Rapids neighborhood and headed out onto State Route 240. At approximately 7:20 p.m., after 4 hours inside the Moon Palace, Sarah Claessen walked out and got into her husband's 2024 Kia Telluride. Trent had already left separately. She drove to the Domino's on Jadwin Avenue and picked up a pizza she'd ordered online. Surveillance cameras captured her with the pizza in her car at 7:31 p.m., 10 minutes. That is the gap between leaving a bar where she had been drinking for 4 hours and arriving at the intersection of State Route 240 and Village Parkway. She was heading home. She needed to make a left turn, a turn she had made hundreds of times. Joser Sanchez was coming from the opposite direction on his motorcycle, traveling 53 miles per hour. The speed limit was 55. Claessen later told officers she saw what she thought was a car with one headlight out. She said she judged the distance and thought she had enough time. She began her turn. She didn't have enough time. The right front corner of the Telluride struck Joser's motorcycle.
Got the Domino's pizza.
Okay.
I was turning left in here. I live right over
Okay.
there on Wild Canyon Way.
Okay.
I saw what I thought was a car with one headlight out.
Okay.
Right just past where the reflective sign is, that white one.
Okay. Sure.
And so I was already slowing in the turn lane and saw him there, and I was like, I got enough time.
Okay.
I turned, and as soon as I turned, just felt the boom.
Okay. Okay. So as you're turning, you thought he was further away.
No,
Is
he
that
was
right?
definitely past that reflective sign
Okay.
when I
Okay.
when I saw him.
Okay.
And then I think I just, like I say, I thought it was a car with a headlight out. Didn't
Okay.
realize it was a motorcycle. I didn't
Okay.
realize the rate of speed
Okay.
they were going at.
So did you think he was going pretty quick?
Yes.
Okay.
Because from that reflective sign, it's kind of, I live here, so
Sure.
that's always my, like, general rule. If they're past that sign, then you got
Okay.
plenty of time if you're already
Okay.
slowing to turn in.
Gotcha.
And
So you know, based on making this turn and numerous times,
Yeah.
that you know how to judge that distance.
Yeah.
You're like, okay, good to go. Okay. All right.
Witnesses described what looked like an explosion. A mother and daughter returning from a birthday party watched his helmet fly through the air. The motorcycle ended up wedged beneath the front of the SUV.
When we showed up, this is my car.
Okay.
So this, we could see him here, and then her car, she was trying to get out of the way. Whatever bike he's on is trapped under that car.
Okay. All right.
He has a fanny pack. I think they just removed it from his chest. She was a first responder. We could tell that he didn't have a pulse, and that's when she started chest compressions.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Do you need us? That
No.
we did not see anything.
No, that's fine.
One witness reported that Klassen's vehicle appeared to shut off, restart, and move forward about a meter before the trapped motorcycle stopped it. Witnesses believed she was attempting to leave. They said she got out without any sense of urgency. One described her as more like a nervous teenager than a seasoned police officer. It wasn't until bystanders approached that she began helping at the scene. Klassen called 911 when dispatch asked if she had hit a motorcycle. She said, "Yeah, we are." She initially suggested no one was injured, then she went to check. She came back on the line. "No, there's definitely somebody injured, possibly fatality. I'm gonna to go check." She returned again. "Yeah, we have no pulse on I believe a pedestrian?" She called a motorcyclist a pedestrian, a word no 14-year state trooper would confuse unless something was very wrong. Dispatch told her to begin CPR. She did.
911, your emergency. Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes. Are you at Village Parkway and SR 240?
Yes.
Are you injured at all?
No.
Okay. And it said you were in a Kia, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Did you hit a motorcycle?
Yeah, we are.
Okay. Do you see if the person's injured or breathing?
I think everybody's okay. Let me get out and check. No, there's definitely somebody injured. Possibly fatality. I'm gonna go check.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me know if they're breathing.
Yeah, we have no pulse on I believe a pedestrian. I can. Yes, I'm a first responder.
You are a first responder?
Yes, I am.
If you want to start CPR, we can definitely get that
Okay.
going.
Okay, I'm gonna start CPR.
Okay. Okay, we do have officers and medics already dispatched out there, okay? CPR being started.
Faint pleas of come on, can be heard on the recording as she performed chest compressions. And then as sirens began to wail in the distance, she said something else. "Please don't hurt me, don't hurt me." It is still unclear whether she was speaking to the dying man beneath her hands or to the officers about to arrive. And what those officers did when they arrived and what they didn't do is where this story takes a turn that no one expected. If you think you know how law enforcement responds when one of their own is the suspect, stay with me, because what the body cam captured next is something you need to see for yourself. And if this case matters to you, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on, because when this trial happens, we'll be covering every moment of it. Washington State Patrol responded first. This was their jurisdiction on State Route 240. But there was a problem. Klassen was one of theirs. On body cam, WSP Trooper Munder acknowledged it openly. Of course, she is a trooper. She's actually in our crew. What happened next was captured on cameras that Munder apparently wished weren't rolling. In footage obtained by Apple Valley News, Now's investigative team, Munder can be heard warning Klassen multiple times that she was being recorded. "It's tough," he told her. "I don't want to ask you too much with the camera." He offered her a seat in his patrol car. "I don't have a camera in the car. On a phone call, he told an unknown person, "I didn't really want to talk to her too much on camera either." Also gave Klassen a drink before any sobriety test was offered. Attorney Richard Gilliland, who reviewed the footage independently for Apple Valley News Now, didn't mince words. "No question she's being treated better," he said. About the repeated camera warnings, "Oh, that's huge. That one bothers me a lot." Richland police eventually took over the investigation, but by the time Officer Steve Hyde arrived, around 9:15 p.m., roughly an hour and a half after the crash, the window for field sobriety testing had narrowed considerably. Hyde noticed faint alcohol on her breath, slightly glossy eyes, and something else, her written statement. She'd spent nearly 18 minutes writing just 6 sentences with multiple misspellings. She estimated the distance between herself and the motorcycle at 100 feet.
I think she has something on board.
Do you really?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Is there?
we have to.
Is there going to be enough to get a search warrant?
So yeah, I'll write it. I mean, unless you want.
What changed?
So I was just studying her. She got a couple misspelled words on here.
Okay.
She wrote sigh, and she said 100 feet. Sorry, I'm going a little fast. She estimated the distance between the guy on the motorcycle and her to be 100 feet, which that's way more than 100. That's 500 feet. She said she was almost through her turn when clearly she was at the very beginning of her turn. Her eyes are a little bit glassy, a little bit.
Those lights be?
But could be, but we got to err on the side of caution.
Okay.
I do not have a great sense of smell, but I think I smelled a little bit of odor of alcohol, enough for me to say. And then I told her, I'm like, hey, we just want to rule out impairment. And by you not doing it, I'm like, I'm not going to ask you again, but I'm like, we can't rule it out. And she's like, yeah, well, if I would have had a glass of wine earlier, I know how this goes. And I said, did you have a glass of wine earlier? And she said, I'm not going to answer that. So,
okay.
I think with everything, we have to. I mean, okay. I will write the search warrant.
Officers calculated it was closer to 500. Hyde asked her to take a field sobriety test. She refused. He asked for a preliminary breath test. She refused that too. She reportedly told him she knows how this works. She did. As a 14-year WSEP veteran, she knew exactly what each refusal triggered and what it protected. Hyde arrested her at 9:54 p.m.
All right, so like I said, we were really trying to rule alcohol out. I'm not convinced that alcohol wasn't a factor. So right now you are under arrest, okay?
Okay.
Let's go ahead and put your hand behind your back. So we will be doing a search warrant for blood, okay?
Okay.
That way there will be no questions. Just seat back here.
Oh yeah, here's one new breath test.
Well, so we're trying to treat this like any other incident, and typically once the opportunity kind of comes and you say you don't want to do it, it's voluntary, and then if you want to do it,
well, I did a voluntary breath test at the VAC, but I just didn't want to do the fields.
Okay, so you wanted to submit to. I think with the significance of this, I think it's probably we're going to probably get a search warrant. Okay.
That's fine.
All right. I appreciate your cooperation.
No worries, of course.
A warrant for her blood was obtained from a judge. Her blood was drawn at Cadleck Regional Medical Center at 1:16 a.m.
This is a good medical. Take it off.
It's okay. You can switch it to the other finger.
Me 6 hours after the crash, and while all of this was unfolding, while officers were processing her arrest and applying for warrants, body cam footage captured something else. According to the probable cause affidavit, Klassen showed no empathy while on scene, and she laughed casually while discussing the dire condition Vega Sanchez was in. She told Sergeant Munder about her workday. She'd had a good shift, pulled over 12 cars, including a drunk driver. Her exact words, 12 cars and a DUI isn't a bad day.
No, not at all. I was slowing here, and then maybe like 20 miles an hour when I made the turn.
Okay. So you slowed down to 20 then?
Oh yeah, yeah, because I go left here, so it's you gotta stop the lights, or at this time, I don't want to stop, but at least rolling slow down. I mean, you're not gonna make that hard turn.
Oh yeah, of course.
She said this as Munder was being notified that Choser Sanchez had died at the hospital. The WSP Seattle Toxicology Laboratory processed her blood. The result, a blood alcohol content of 0.17%, more than double the legal limit of 0.08. And that was 6 hours after the crash. Retrograde extrapolation, the science of calculating what the BAC would have been at the time of the collision, would place it significantly higher. The Benton County coroner confirmed that Choser Sanchez had 0 alcohol or intoxicants in his system. His speed at the time of the crash was 53 miles per hour, 2 miles per hour below the posted limit. He was sober, he was legal, he was doing everything right. Clayson told officers that Sanchez was speeding. That was a lie. She told officers she was almost through her turn when the collision happened. The damage to the right front passenger corner of her SUV proved that was a lie too. She had barely begun the turn. She told investigators she had been home that night and left to get a pizza. Surveillance footage from 4 hours at the Moon Palace proved that was also a lie. 2 days after the crash, Klassen appeared before a judge via video from the Benton County Jail. The prosecutor requested $150,000 bail. The judge denied it and released her on her own recognizance. The Benton County prosecutor recused his office. Klassen was local law enforcement and handed the case to the Spokane County prosecutor. Then the waiting began. A scheduled March 12th arraignment was canceled. Weeks turned into months. The BAC results came back in April. Still no charges. Supporters of Choser's family held signs on George Washington Way demanding justice. His mother told Apple Valley News, "Now, I think that any normal person or civilian at this moment would be in jail for what happened." 6 months and 24 days after she killed Choser Sanchez, Sarah Klassen was formally charged with 1 count of vehicular homicide while under the influence. She pleaded not guilty. The judge released her again on her own recognizance, this time with even more lenient conditions than before. No monitoring devices, no ignition interlock. She was allowed to travel freely throughout Washington and Arizona.
In this case, the court will indicate I've reviewed the affidavit of probable cause. The prosecutor sent a summons, not an arrest warrant. The defendant appeared with counsel today. Based on that summons, the court will find that the defendant does not have any criminal history, has not had any other orders other than the preliminary hearing that were set forth. The court will find that while the court was concerned to the substantial danger to the community, basing all the factors and balancing those, the court will agree to the extent of the conditions of release and set forth them as follows. I'm releasing you on your personal recognizance to maintain a current address here in the state of Washington. You also must appear to all court dates. You must have regular contact with your attorney. You must remain in the state of Washington or Arizona. If you do travel outside the state of Washington, I'm sure that you must, or strike that, I'm ordering that you sign a waiver of extradition if you do travel outside, and that will be filed with the court. You are not to commit any new violations. You are not to consume or possess any non-prescription controlled substance or any other drugs unless you have a prescription and you notify the prosecutor. You're not to operate a motor vehicle without a valid license or proof of insurance. You must obey all court orders that are in effect at this time. You're also ordered to not have any contact with any of the state's witnesses that have been identified by the state.
Her defense attorney pointed to her clean record.
And my client has had no conditions during those 6 months and has faithfully followed basically what's in front of the court. I think that there's been demonstrated compliance with the fact that she's no threat to community safety.
The prosecutor offered no objection. Meanwhile, Klassen remained on paid administrative leave from the Washington State Patrol. Her salary, over $133,000 a year. WSP policy states that full pay and benefits continue until a trial verdict. If convicted, WSP says they cannot require her to repay wages. The trial has been pushed back twice, first from February's 2026 to May 18th, 2026. By the time she faces a jury, she will have earned more than $160,000 while on leave for killing a man. On April 6th, 2025, more than 100 motorcyclists rode through Benton County in Joser's honor. They stopped at the crash site and planted a cross on the side of Highway 240. His mother stood among them. "This was his dream," she said. "He wanted to be in a group of motorcycles even though we didn't like it. This is what he would have desired to live through." His stepfather, Reuben, looked at the line of bikes and the flowers left by strangers. "I can see people loved Hoser," he said, "and that is amazing to me." Then he said what he'd been saying since the night of the crash. "Now my family is destroyed. But we want justice. That's more important." In November 2025, the body cam footage went viral. EWU Bodycam, a YouTube channel with nearly 3 million subscribers, published an 18-minute video titled "Cop Laughs After Hitting Motorcyclist as He's Dying." Has been viewed more than 2.9 million times. 12,000 comments. The case was discussed internationally, and the questions the comments asked were the same ones the community had been asking for months. Would a civilian have been warned about the cameras? Would it have taken 6 months to file charges? Would they be out on their own recognizance twice? Would they be collecting a 6-figure salary? On the evening of March 1st, 2025, 2 people who lived half a mile apart were on the same stretch of highway at the same time. One had spent 4 hours drinking. The other was completely sober. One was a 14-year veteran of the law. The other had ridden his motorcycle only 3 or 4 times. One would be laughing at the crash scene. The other would never laugh again. Joser Vega Sanchez dreamed of owning a house and becoming a mechanic. He worked extra shifts at a factory to get there. He loved people. He was the sunshine of his family. There is a cross on the side of Highway 240 now at the intersection where Village Parkway meets the road. Flowers sit at its base, left by people who never met him but felt like they knew him. As a candle burns in his family's living room next to a card from his co-workers at Lamb Weston. His mother can barely say his name without crying. "When you see Joser," she once said, "you feel amazing, like the sun is shining on you." The sun doesn't shine on that intersection the same way anymore, but the cross still stands. Every few days, someone drives past that spot and slows down. Some of them knew Joser, most of them didn't, but they all know what happened there, and they all have the same question. Sarah Klassen's trial is scheduled for May 18th, 2026. She has pleaded not guilty, she remains on full paid leave, and a jury has not yet heard a single word of evidence. If Sarah Klassen wasn't a state trooper, if she was anyone else on that road that night, do you believe this case would have played out the same way? Drop your answer in the comments. I read every single one. This case is not over. The trial is coming, and when it does, we will be there. If you want to see that coverage, you don't want to miss it, hit subscribe right now and turn on the notification bell. That's the only way YouTube will let you know when we post the update. If this story hit you the way it hit me, share it with someone. Share it with everyone, because Joser Sanchez can't tell his own story anymore. But we can make sure people hear it. Like this video if you believe the justice system should apply equally, whether you carry a badge or not. And if you haven't already, check the description for links to every source we used in this documentary. Every claim, every quote, every piece of footage, it's all there. For Joser, for his family, and for the truth. We'll see you at the trial.